I know that title is a little absurd as a supposed Sonic fan, but look, I just didn't play this game. I had nothing against it, I just never got around to playing it. Sonic Heroes is one of the most notable games in the series, and I finally played it, and this game was pissing me off. Now look, before I get to think pieces in the comments, I'm not saying this game is bad at all. I actually had a lot of fun playing this game. It was just some things that really were annoying the hell out of me, so let's start with that. First and foremost, Saddam Hussein ain't got shit on Egg Emperor. On my mama, daddy, siblings, and entire bloodline, this was one of the worst bosses I've played in a Sonic game, dude. The pacing of his attacks and movement was so off to me. You gotta keep a good distance so you don't run into him and fall off the stage into a pit. Side note, pits, good lord, man, but we'll talk about that later. Also, with the air slashes, if you get hit by the first one, it's GG's because you stuck on the ground and most likely gonna die by the follow-up slash or like the third one. I hate the Egg Emperor boss, and making us fight him 4 times is disgusting. It was multiple times where I just have to either put the controller down or just go back to the main menu and take a break, man. It was bad, except for Team Rose version, which was pretty much baby mode. Hey, shout out to Biggs, tank rail grinding. And Team Chaotix, I pretty much cheesed it with Vector Slam. But other than that, that boss was insane and unforgiving. Unforgiving is also a great word to describe certain elements of the game, like rings. Now, commonly in Sonic games, when you lose rings, you'll lose a good amount, but you still have some left. But in this game, you lose every single ring, and how the hit system works, depending on who you fighting, enemies or boss, it's tough trying to get them back. Because in Sonic Heroes, if you get hit, you'll just lie on the ground for a second or two, then get back up. But by the time you get back up, your invisible frames are gone, so you can pretty much get hit back to back and die without a chance of getting them. Pits. I believe these are where most of my deaths went, to be honest. I've been accepted that silly ass shit just happens to me when I play games, but man, it was multiplied by 20 in Sonic Heroes, especially with the slippery ass controls. It's funny, I played Shadow the Hedgehog when I was younger, and those controls drove me insane, and finding out where these controls came from is ironic in a sense. It's like they said, man, these controls aren't that good. Let's put them in the next game, same graphics too. But yeah, the slippery ass controls was giving me slight headaches in certain areas, and this controller having stick drift really didn't help at all. I ended up switching to a GameCube controller that I have for my Switch. It works with my PC, so they helped a lot. I mean, they still were pretty slippery though. I feel like you have more control with socks on the hockey ring than this game. And they really didn't help in the special stages, man. The special stage pipes were already janky as hell, but it's like you fly all over the place and all around the pipes. It's wild, dude. I was constantly clipping into them, and really the special stages are fun, but man, the wild loose controls are tough to handle sometimes. And the final thing that bugged me about this game is that these levels are long as fuck. I wouldn't consider myself a speedrunner when it comes to this, but man, come on, dog. I think there's damn near no stage under 5 minutes in this game except for Team Rose once again. In my opinion, I don't know how hot of a take this is, but I feel like a good Sonic stage is about 2:30, 2:45, maybe even 3 minutes. Not too short, but also doesn't drag out. I feel like I was playing Werehog stages in that motherfucker. But I can say in some parts it took me longer because of said stick drift I mentioned earlier. So I had to move more carefully, and those robots with the hammers took a minute for me to beat too. But other than those things that I mentioned, I really like this game. Wait, no, I'm lying. Fuck the casino stages and fuck the haunted castle stages. Even though I love the casino levels music, but man, the concept of that stage is horrid. The pinball machine part is the worst. It's just random to determine where you can get out of it, and the paddles were just frustrating to deal with, bruh. With the castle levels, honestly, I just didn't like the length of them, to be honest. But everything else is cool. Also, in my opinion, I feel like 14s weren't really necessary for the game and was used to pad playtime, because when you really think about it, when it comes to the stories, it's like, were Team Rose and Chaotix really needed? It could have just been like, it's a 2-story method, but I guess they didn't want to do just 2 teams again. Team Rose was the most unnecessary in my opinion, but it was also funny playing as Team Chaotix and finally putting the pieces together why they randomly wanted Cheese. Whole time they were sent on a mission to save Childs and thought Cheese was one of the stolen Childs. But it was very strange because I played Team Sonic and Dark first, right? And when I got to Team Rose, it was taking me through a tutorial and I was confused because I'm already like 5 hours into this game. Why do I need this? Did they expect people to pick Team Rose first or something? I don't know, but the stages were way shorter and easier in comparison to the other teams. To me, the order of difficulty goes Team Dark, Sonic, Chaotix, then Rose. Chaotix levels really weren't hard, per se, just more time consuming because of the collection objectives. Sonic Team's level was definitely the normal mode for me, but it had some difficulty to it, but nothing too crazy. And for me, I feel like Team Dark was the toughest in my opinion, but maybe it's different for y'all and other people. All the boss fights in this game were the same, pretty much was slightly altered for each team. I didn't really like the team fights against each other because it's just knockout fights. You know, you just gotta get into flying form and spam until somebody fly off. And then the other bosses aren't even really bosses except for Egg Hawk and I forgot the other one off the top of my head. I know it's 6 more right now, I can't think about it, but I'll put it up. But the other quote unquote bosses are just round based enemies that you just gotta fend off until there's no more. I did all this talking but haven't even spoke on the story yet. So basically each team runs through their storylines of hunting down Eggman and meeting him at the end. Team Sonic is trying to stop him from taking over the world. Team Dark is trying to find him to get the answers about if Shadow is a clone or not. Team Amy, they just want to find him because they believe they'll find the people they're looking for. So if they find Eggman, they'll find them. And Team Chaotix, they were just doing this for hire. They were trying to get some money. The whole time the teams were going through this, it wasn't even Eggman they were chasing, it was Metal Sonic collecting their data. And this really shouldn't be a surprise because it was spoiled in the intro of the game that Metal Sonic is the big bad guy. So the teams come together to fight Metal Sonic to end his reign. Metal Sonic's second form and his Metal Madness form is one of the best designs I've seen for him. You can really feel the evilness from his spikes and jagged edges all over his body. I love this boss fight, to be honest. The Sonic Heroes theme, I like how Super Sonic looks in this style. And it's funny, Tails and Knuckles didn't even get a super form, just a yellow shield. They should have had forms like they did in the Nazo fan movie. If you watched that movie before, then you know. But after defeating him, Sonic tells him he's down for a rematch whenever, and he says the line,
"But why can't I defeat you?"
Because we're Sonic Heroes.
Say that again?
and then everybody goes their separate ways. This was a good game, frustrations aside. I like the team blast and the individual moves. Each team has a speed, flying, and power type. My favorite power type is Vector, mainly because of the way he can just shoot while standing and his overhead slam move. And my favorite speed type is Espio because that ninja star throw is dope, and being able to go invisible to sneak past enemies and go through lasers was fire too. This game took me about 14 hours to beat, but I think it was some good time spent. I believe if I played this when I was a kid, the nostalgia factor would have boosted this for me. But yeah, shout out to Sonic Heroes.
Just what do you think you're doing here?
Who's this broad?